Krishna Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, before we speak on the appearance of Lord Vamandeva, we'll give a little history prior to his appearance. Why did he appear, at least externally speaking? We know in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says why he appears. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskatam dharma samstapanataya sambhavama yuge yuge. This is what he does. These are his activities when he appears. He does three things. We always ask this question on his appearance. What are those three things? Establish religious principles, re-establish them. Okay, dharma samstapanataya. Protect the devotees. Paritranaya sadhunam. Okay, and devote what? You get rid of the evil or the demons. Vinashaya duskritam. Okay, great. So this is what he does. These are his activities, at least externally. So we want to know a little bit of the historical context, particularly of this incarnation of the Lord. Vamana Dev appears as a dwarf. So this is all described, at least in the books that we read by Srila Prabhupada, the Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, we hear of Bali Maharaj, and who is essentially a leader or a general of the demons. He is the son of Virochana, who is the son of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj, everyone knows, he's who? Who is the famous being a devotee of? Lord Nrsimhadev. Jai. Lord Nrsimhadev appeared and killed his father, who was from the lineage of Kashyapa. Diti had two demons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. And Hiranyakashipu had a son, Prahlad Maharaj. From Prahlad Maharaj came Virochana. And from Virochana came Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj was actually a devotee because he got the seed of devotional service from Prahlad Maharaj. So anyways, there was a time in history where the demons were fighting against the demigods, and the demigods naturally approach Lord Brahma during their difficulties of fighting the demons. And Lord Brahma went to the milk ocean and prayed to Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna instructed them to turn the milk ocean, and by turning the milk ocean, they will acquire, anyone knows? It's nectar. Some nectar. And by this nectar, they will get what? Immortality, at least apparently. It's not real immortality. We can only get immortality by going back home, back to Godhead. You can have extended life in this material world, and it appears like you live forever. But ultimately, at the time of Pralaya, we have to all go. So, the demigods, because they're devotees, but they're somewhat materialistic, meaning they have too much emphasis still on this world. They still have one foot in this world. And although they understand Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they're interested very much upholding this world together. They forget that ultimately it's all useless in relation to the absolute truth, because this material world, bhutva paliyate, it comes again and again and is destroyed. And its only value is if it can help us achieve Krishna. But the demigod, they sometimes become overly absorbed. So they pray to Krishna for material things, like help us out with the demons. So Krishna said, okay, you turn, you get a truce with the demons. And then You turn the nectar with them from the ocean of milk. So many things will come. Don't worry about those things. Don't become distracted. But you wait patiently for this nectar that will come. And don't worry, I'll arrange that you'll get it and not the demons. So Krishna told them this. So they said, okay, yes, we have full faith in Krishna. Every time we pray and we perform our duties and follow his instructions, we get material benefits and we are able to do our duties nicely. So they followed Krishna's instruction, approached Bali Maharaj, who was leading the charge of the demons, and Bali Maharaj, being humble devotee of Krishna, ultimately he agrees to their proposal. And they make truce, and they turn the ocean of milk. And the ocean of milk brings out all these attractive things. It also brings out poison, which Lord Shiva drinks. But ultimately, there's some nectar that's given to the demigods and not the demons. Although they agreed that we're going to share this nectar, we'll all get immortality. And the demons thinking, oh yes, we'll help for this nectar. But Krishna arranged by some trickery through his incarnation as Mohini Murti and bewildered the demons and gave only nectar to the demigods. So the demigods got so much power now because previously they were losing against the demons. But because the side of providence was on the side of the demons, the demigods were losing. But now by this arrangement of Krishna, they were able to get this nectar. And the demons were not happy because they slaved themselves to turn this nectar out of this ocean, and so much hardship, so many demons had to die also. It was a lot of work, actually. In fact, the Lord had to take up a couple of incarnations just to help them turn this ocean of milk, because to turn an ocean, especially this huge ocean of milk, it was a lot of work. So the demons naturally were not very pleased because their side of the bargain was not upheld. But the demigods became somewhat more powerful, and therefore they started fighting now with the demons who were upset, and they were trying to fight against the demigods. And the demigods are headed by Indra. So Indra was killing all these demons left and right. It was an elaborate war. So much bloodshed was had on this battlefield between the demigods and the demons. And ultimately, in the end, Indra wins this fight against the demons. And Bali Maharaj and his shoulders all become beat up and fall. But as soon as the demons are going to be completely annihilated, Lord Brahma interferes and tells Narada Muni, his son, to go stop the demigods from killing completely, wiping out all the demons from the face of the universe. Because, they have their part to play also. So Lord Brahma interfered and asked Narada Muni to tell the demigods to stop. And the demigods, because there's devotees, they naturally listen to such a great sage as Narada Muni. So after this, Bali Maharaj, who was beat up and fallen, was taken to his spiritual master. Anyone know his spiritual master's name? Shukracharya. So Shukracharya is a Brahmana, coming from the line of, anyone knows? I can't remember if it's Bhrigu Muni. So Shukracharya had this potency, to revive life back into the body of these souls who have left these bodies. So bring them back into those bodies and bring that body back. I forgot the name of the potency. It's called, it starts with an S. Anyone knows? No? Anyways, there's this mystical power that he has to bring back life to the demons and to anyone who has left their body untimely through some fight or something, or just unnecessarily they died so he can bring them back. He got this benediction, Shukracharya. So he brought back Bali Maharaj and some of the demons, all the soldiers, back to life. So Bali Maharaj, being very grateful and indebted to Shukracharya, who is actually a Brahmana, but he's a demon. And it seems contradictory, but externally, even in Vedic culture previously, the demons, they were very religious in the sense that they followed the rituals they had faith in these rituals. They didn't have faith in God, who's the purpose of all these rituals is actually ultimately to satisfy him, and is ultimately by his grace that anyone gets any results from these ritualistic worship. So demons, they had so much respect for Brahmanas and the Vedic culture because they understood if we follow these rituals, these principles, I get to enjoy the material world. But they're still demons. Of course, today's demons have no knowledge of this science of the Vedic culture, of following the laws of nature and respecting the laws of the universe by which one can ultimately even enjoy this world. But the demons, they're very much aware of this knowledge, but they use it to satisfy their own senses. Versus devotees, they use it to satisfy their senses and serve Krishna. These are demigods. Pure devotees use it to only satisfy Krishna. So, Bali Maharaj worshipped his spiritual master, Shukracharya, and therefore, he blessed all the Brahmanas were very much pleased with him by his worship, because he gave everything. He was very much grateful and he surrendered everything to his spiritual master, Shukracharya. And through Shukracharya, all the ancestors of Shukracharya who were Brahmanas as well, they all benedicted Bali Maharaj with an impenetrable potency, and he was able to get so much strength. So he got reinvigorated. Am I saying that right? Reinvigorated. So he got so much vigor again to fight against the demigods, because when he came back to his body, he remembered everything. How he got beat up, essentially, in short words. You can read the description. It's actually an intense fight between him and Indra and the demigods and the demons. So much detail is there about the bloodshed. But Shukracharya now regained his strength because he worshipped his spiritual master very sincerely. He had respect for the Brahmanas because he learned that from his ancestors, his father, Virochana, and also Prahlad Maharaj, a pure devotee of the Lord, also worshipped the Brahmanas. But for different reason. Prahlad Maharaj was a devotee, pure devotee. He worshipped Brahmanas because he understands they're dear to Krishna, not for any material boon or anything like this. So demons, they get distracted by these material things and they think this is all there is. Just like in the Bhagavad Gita, we say, there's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Let me see if I can remember the verse. Anyways, I can't remember the verse, but there's a line in there, Veda Vada Ratapat. The Veda Vada, I can't remember, Veda Vada, the Veda. Anyways, they take the Vedas and the goal of the Veda, the side effects of performing yajna, sense gratification, as the ultimate goal. So, Bali Maharaj wasn't like this because at heart, he was a devotee. But he was executing his duty as the leader of the demons, meaning he has to fight in opposition against the demigods. He happened to be born due to his previous activities, karma, and the family of demons. So, therefore, he executes his duty accordingly. And his duty as a king of the demons is to fight. So he headed the charge back to the heavenly planets, where it's described Lord Indra's place is so opulent. The doors are made of gold. The walkways are made of pearls. Everyone there is so angelic, free of, lust, envy, greed, at least to a large degree. The women there are exquisitely beautiful. So it's like this extremely opulent place is where Indra, the heavenly planets. Bali Maharaj goes there and with his entire army, riding, looking like the sun personified and coming to approaching the heavenly planets. And Indra becomes quite fearful. So he goes to his spiritual master, Brihaspati, the spiritual master of the demigods. And he asks him what's going on, why Bali Maharaj looks different than before. I fought against him before. He didn't look like this. Now he looks like unstoppable, like he's ready to swallow the whole three worlds, the whole universe. Kindly tell me, what should I do? Should I deal with this or should I fight against him? And he told the spiritual master, understanding, because as a great sage, you get insight into the future also through the scriptures and through one's own Brahma Tejas. So he could perceive that Bali Maharaj also had some Brahma Tejas because he was worshipping the Brahmanas, and all his ancestors were giving him full blessings out of his sincere service to his spiritual master. So he knew no one can stop him right now. You better get out of here and go away. Don't fight. Let him take over. So that's exactly what Indra does. He says, okay, this is what we have to do. Spiritual master is saying, and he can see he's the truth. So like this, so the demigods get kicked out of their heavenly positions. So Bali Maharaj now is ruler of the whole three worlds, conqueror of everything in the universe, has all the opulences beyond what we can see. It's like this planet is just one little planet, but there's so many planets even more opulent than this one. We think, wow, there's so much amazing things on this planet. There's so much gold or so much diamonds, rubies, or whatever shiny things people like. There's so much land, beautiful trees, beautiful women. But this is nothing. We look like frogs to the people in the heavenly planets. So Bali Maharaj had complete opulence. But now the mother of the demigods was upset. She was not very happy. The mother of the demigods, Aditi, because the mother of the demigods and the mother of the demons, they're all married to this one sage. You know the sage name? No. Kashyapa Muni. So Kashyapa Muni, deep, very exalted sage. I mean, he's the father pretty much of the entire universe. He's a Prajapati. Through him, Lord Brahma creates so many different living entities. So anyway, he's deep in meditation. He comes back and he sees his wife, Aditi, is distressed. And he's thinking perhaps she hasn't performed properly her duties, her religious duties. That's why she's distressed. But she reveals, no, I'm distressed because I'm attached to my children. Essentially, we are being kicked out by the demons. They took our homes and you must do something about it. You need to relieve me of my anxiety and our children of their anxiety. And Kashyapa Muni being extremely detached, he's always absorbed in trance and meditation on Krishna and the absolute truth. He has no time for this world. He doesn't even realize this happened. He's like, man, what are you talking? For him, it's just like the seasons changed, It's like one day this has happened. It doesn't matter to him so much. But he sees, okay, she's attached to this so much, to her children. Just see the power of illusion, making this world seem more real than it actually is. That we forget the world beyond this temporary world. So Kashyapa Muni told her, okay, I'll give you what you have to do. When I wanted a son like Krishna, then I worshipped, Lord Brahma gave me this Payovrata, which is, Prabhupada describes it, it's a Vedic process, which by doing this process is like doing all other sacrifices. It's a very very dear to Krishna. But in this age, we can't actually do these austerities and this elaborate worship of Payavrata. So we satisfy this principle by just chanting Hare Krishna and performing deity worship and offering prasadam offering bhog to Krishna and offering prasadam to all the devotees, distributing prasadam to everybody. So like this, Krishna ultimately is the one who's satisfied by these vratas or these sacrifices. And that's the point. He was making sure she understood that perform this ultimately, but for Krishna's pleasure. You do these elaborate sacrifices and he will be pleased with you and help you in this regard. So she dutifully obeys her husband and follows this Payavrata very dutifully and worships Krishna through this sacrifice. And Krishna becomes so pleased that he manifests himself in full as his Narayana feature with 4 hands, this conch shell, club, lotus flower, like this. And he appears to her and tells her, okay, worship your husband, I will appear through him, essentially. This is what he tells her. He's very pleased, okay, thank you for worshiping. Now you go worship your husband and you meditate on me in his heart. Like this. So that's what she does. And Krishna agrees. He comes inside Kashyapa Muni, not in a mundane way like conditioned soul. He doesn't enter the semina of Kashyapa Muni. He just enters his heart. Just like we hear in Krishna book. When Krishna appeared, he entered the mind or the heart of who? Vasudeva. So, similarly, same way. He entered the heart of Kashyapa and Kashyapa somehow to some transcendental way also impregnates Aditi, but not through seminal discharge, not in some mundane sexual intercourse, but different way. Inconceivable to us. We only have one experience in this world, how people get pregnant. So, but still, it's possible because Krishna can do anything with his energies. So, Kashyapa Muni impregnated Aditi, and Aditi eventually gives birth to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he first manifests in a form, a Vishnu form, again, with 4 arms, and then eventually he turns into a dwarf form. Just like when Krishna, same thing, in the prison cell, he manifests his full form, and then according to the Leela, the necessity of his pastimes, arranged by Yogamaya potency, he takes on one of his eternal forms. And this time his form was Vamandeva, the dwarf Brahmana. So in this way, Lord Vamana appears on the Dwadashi. Today is Dwadashi, right? So it's the day after Ekadashi. So he appears on this day. So therefore, that's why we fasted yesterday on Ekadashi, because Dwadashi, you have to break your Ekadashi. So Lord Vamanadev immediately understood that somewhere Bali Maharaj was being engaged in performing different sacrifices, because as soon as he took position, you have to perform these great opulent sacrifices, and he announced that I'm now the king of the whole universe. So he already performed this 100 Ashwamedha sacrifice, but still kings and rulers, this is how they maintained their position. They had so much faith by just performing all these sacrifices and respecting the Brahmanas and doing all these ritualistic performances and sacrifices. That's how they're getting their position. That's how they're getting their power. They're not ignorant of this fact, but they use it for, again, as I've been saying, for their own exploitation and enjoyment, for their own aggrandizement. This whole pompous thing is all ultimately inside. They want to enjoy it. So it's a lust. In the Bhagavad Gita, mode of passion is described. When you perform sacrifice for this reason, it's in the mode of passion. So that's what demons are doing. So Bali Maharaj is in the middle of performing this sacrifice, and Vamanadeva appears super effulgent, more effulgent than all the Brahmanas there, all the priests who are there, everyone who's performing this elaborate sacrifice. and Vamandeva appears. His effulgence puts out all their effulgence, and they say, who is this effulgent boy who's coming here like a dwarf, dressed as a Brahmana? He has a sacred thread given by the different personalities of the universe. So Vamandeva looks very attractive. And Bali Maharaj immediately notices that Vamandeva is coming, and he immediately offers in respectful obeisances, washes his lotus feet, understanding who this actually is. This is not an ordinary Brahmana. This has to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because the devotee knows through the eyes of the scriptures the symptoms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that are described in the scriptures. So Bali Maharaj naturally washes his feet and puts it on his head, because even Lord Shiva takes on this water on his head. So Vamandeva, after being worshipped by Bali Maharaj, is asked by Bali Maharaj, how can I serve you? You come here, you obviously want something from me. For my own benefit, you want to ask something from me. A Brahmana or a great sage, he only asks someone for something, ultimately it's for their benefit. Actually, he doesn't need it. But to engage them in some service, to purify them, he may come to their home, or he may come to their place of worship or whatever. So similarly, Shukracharya, feeling very blessed that Vamandeva has come, he says, now the sacrifice is successful because of your presence alone. So you kindly tell us, what do you want? How can I serve you? So Vamandeva says, what? What does he say? Yes, 3 paces of land he access from Bali Maharaj. And Bali Maharaj is thinking, 3 paces of land. It's like, when you ask for charity from such an exalted king, you should never have to ask for charity the rest of your life anymore from anyone else. You should never have to beg anymore after this. After I give you something, when a king gives, he gives according to his means, right? That's what is an injunction of the scriptures. You give according to your means. If you have higher means than someone else, you give more. You give according to your means. So a king has so much opulence. So naturally, when he gives, that person never has to beg from anyone else again. So Bali Maharaj being not just the king of, some planet, but the king of the whole 3 universe. So he's thinking, when you beg from me, you should never have to beg again, actually. So 3 paces of land, what is this? And Vamandeva, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, somewhat, outsmarts Bali Maharaj. He says, if you can't be satisfied with the bare necessities, what you actually need, then even if you have a whole land or a whole planet, you will never be satisfied, because senses that are left unrestricted to enjoy can never be satisfied. So better be satisfied. If I can't be satisfied with 3 paces of land, then I'll never be satisfied. There's no, I'll be satisfied when I have this. So many people think, when I have this many, or when I have this enrolled, then I'll be satisfied. No, but if you're not satisfied right now, you're never going to be satisfied, actually. So he told this to Bali Maharaj. And Bali Maharaj, was convinced. He said, okay, this is what you want. I'll give you this. But then his spiritual master, Shukracharya, being a Brahmana, he had some Brahmatejas, he had some knowledge of the scripture. He just didn't have surrender to Krishna. He didn't have devotion to the Supreme Personality of God. He had devotion to the Brahmanas externally, and he had devotion to ritualistic rituals and following austerities, following penances. He had so much external devotion, but really, because his goal was to enjoy this world, whether through adoration, distinction, and power and fame, then really his devotion was to himself, actually. To himself. It's like some people may come and offer something to Krishna with so much devotion, But they want something in return. Who are they really devoted to then? Themselves, actually. That's who they're doing it for. So Shukracharya, seemingly a great Brahmana, he was envious like a snake. He was like, oh, no. If you give, this is not an ordinary Brahmana, you fool. Don't give him 3 paces of land. He will take everything from you with these 3 paces of land. And in fact, with his first 2 steps, he will conquer the whole universe and everything within it, all the elements, everything. Where will you put the 3rd foot? Where are you going to put it? And Bali Maharaj, being a great devotee of the Lord, he didn't care actually what his spiritual master was advising. Although through his spiritual master, mercy, apparently, he conquered the whole 3 universe. He didn't care. He said, if this is actually the Supreme Lord, then this is the whole purpose of life, actually, right here. I may never get this opportunity again to offer him everything. Actually, the reason he was able to do this is because everything that he was doing prior to that, he was ultimately doing it in his heart of heart. He was doing it for Krishna. So naturally, when it comes to Krishna, it's very easy for him to give to Krishna. Because his entire time, what he was doing externally, he was doing all these activities, doing these duties, but really in his heart, he was cultivating love for Krishna. That's why he didn't hesitate. Actually, when the opportunity came to serve Krishna directly and give something for Krishna, he did not hesitate. And he wasn't under this false conception that I am this body and everything in relation to this body is mine. Although surely for a king of such an exalted position as one who's conqueror of the whole 3 universe, surely everyone is praising him as you are God or you are the king. By your mercy, we're doing everything. Everyone is convinced, but how do you remain sober in such a position like this? Only a devotee can remain sober. When he's getting so much praise, everyone says, it's by your mercy, you're doing this, doing that, and the other. But Bali Maharaj knows that he was just serving Krishna, actually. He's a servant of Krishna. But somehow, by the arrangement of karma, he's put in a situation where he's the king of the Daityas, the demons. Not the Daityas, sorry, Asuras. So, despite his spiritual master Shukracharya telling him, do not give 3 paces of land to this dwarf. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bali Maharaj said, I already promised, And he argues with his spiritual master. His spiritual master tries to argue, don't worry, you can lie in certain circumstances. When it's not beneficial for you, you can lie. In other words, that's what he said. When the end is not inauspicious, you can lie. But he doesn't know true auspiciousness is giving everything to Krishna, actually. You miscalculate when you just calculate according to this world being real and everything there is. Therefore, you'll be off all the time because you missed the first part of the equation. This world, this is not the real auspiciousness. It's like in a big complicated math problem. Anyone did it like calculus or a higher maths? Anyone? Right? So I was a big math person somehow. I didn't like it, but somehow I was good at it. But if you mess up one part of the equation, even if you work out so many elaborate problems, at the end, it'll be wrong. Right? Because you messed up one thing. You got to trace back. Where did I mess up? Did I put a minus where there wasn't supposed to be a minus, or a plus where there wasn't supposed to be a plus? So because Bali Maharaj didn't have that messed up the equation, but his spiritual master had the wrong equation, they were not meeting eye to eye. And Bali Maharaj said, okay, anyways, whatever you say, let it be so. So Shukracharya cursed him and said, okay, you are going to be stripped of everything. You're going to lose everything because of this act of disobeying your spiritual master. Which anyways, he was inspired by Krishna to say this. This is what is described in Bhagavatam. Because anyways, it's going to come to pass. Not by his words, but Krishna sometimes likes to do this. He likes to keep things intact. See, a Brahmana said it, so okay, it will happen. That's a principle. Brahmana only speaks truth. They only speak what's in scripture. So Krishna made his word truth in this case. So, guess what happens immediately after Bali Maharaj offers everything to the Supreme Personality of Godhead? The Lord in this dwarf form manifests himself into huge, gigantic form, as big as a universal form. And with one step, he covers all the different planetary systems. And then with another step, he with the second step, all the elements, all the interplanetary, everything is covered, all within the whole universe. And that's it, there's nothing left. So after that, he arrests Bali Maharaj for his not keeping his word. So the ropes of Varuna are tied on Bali Maharaj. So eventually, the Lord is wondering, where should I put my third foot? So Bali Maharaj, after being arrested, he conducts so many prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, knowing that, how does he know this despite being in this circumstance? Because he got trained by his grandfather, Prahlad Maharaj, to know. So therefore, he wasn't disturbed throughout all this, despite being arrested and being stripped of everything. He was totally peaceful. He says, yeah, he just knows this is the nature of this world, actually. It's like, it's not a place for a gentleman, as Bhaktisiddhanta would say. Things will go down in this world. So he's detached, actually. His mind is fixed on the lotus feet of Vamandeva. So as soon as Vamandeva asks, what should I do with my third foot? He said, well, there's nowhere else to put it. He said, you can put it on my head. So he offers his head to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this way, Bali Maharaj is known as one who offers everything, body, mind, words, soul, to the lotus feet of Vamandeva. And on this day, we can pray to be like Bali Maharaj. And we can pray to try to follow in his footsteps a little bit. Maybe we're not in such a position where we have so many things or whatever. Or maybe we don't want to give up everything. Of course, giving up everything in Vaishnava definition means what? Using it all for Krishna's service. Now you throw it away. If it has some value and it can be used in Krishna's service, you use it, right? Anasaktasya vishayam yatayam yataham upayunjata nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. Yuktam vairagyam uchyate. This yuktam vairagyam, this using it in Krishna's service, although not interested in this world for oneself or living or existing in this world, whatever position one finds himself in, he uses that to serve Krishna. So Bali Maharaj found himself in a demoniac position. Okay, surely I'll execute my duties. But ultimately, his mind was on Krishna, doing it. He was performing yajna this entire time as a demon king. From his perspective, he was doing it all for Krishna. From all his other demons who were helping and assisting him, they were doing it for their own sense gratification. His consciousness was different. Where you can be two people, same yajna can be happening. Some of them can be materialistic, some of them can be devotees. And all of them will get different benefits. It's like we all can come together and chant Hare Krishna. Somebody can come here and say, I want nice car, nice job. We're all performing the yajna, the Sankirtan movement, coming together. But someone is saying, I want to just give everything to Krishna. I want to get rid of all my selfish desire. This is his consciousness. So he's thinking, this is pleasing Krishna, Radha Krishna. So many people can be together performing yajna. Similarly, in the Vedic sacrifices, the person who's doing the yajna or heading the yajna, he can have a different consciousness than those who support, the brahmanas themselves, they can also have different kashas. Because externally, it looks the same. It's just a ritual followed very scientifically. So although Bali Maharaj was doing all these yagas, he was not in material kasha. He knew the purpose of all these yagas is to please Vishnu. That's how we're being promoted in our position, even as demons. This is how we're getting all our opulence. He was not lost to that fact. But the other demons, they were lost. They were simply enjoying these things for their own sense gratification. Sometimes we have demons in the garbs of devotees, actually, who really, we're all kind of a little bit like demons. We have mixed desires. We come to Krishna, we perform some devotional service. Mixed. We want something. Or we may do some elaborate sacrifice or austerities or whatever, but we're doing it for ourselves. We may do it for Krishna and ourselves, which is what the demigods do, but some people do just blatantly for themselves. These are demons. So we're not entirely demons. At least our intention is not just, oh, we don't give a damn about Krishna or this, who is this Yaga Purush. We just want to enjoy. Let's follow this. Let's do this ritual, whatever gets me enjoy. Some people are that gross. Put whatever demigod you put in front of me, whatever deity, it doesn't matter. I just want to enjoy. We'll just do the mantra, chant the mantra, give donation, doesn't matter. I just want the results to enjoy. This is blatantly demoniac. But the devotees or demigods who are struggling, they're just attached to their identity in this world and trying to enjoy in this world. But they understand Krishna is the enjoyer of these sacrifices. And by his mercy, we're enjoying and we're peaceful in this world. But the devotee doesn't care for his own peace. Bali Maharaj didn't care for position of being the emperor of the whole three worlds. So he was detached, although he was tied up now by the ropes of Varuna. And he simply said, okay, whatever left I have, you take that also. Put your foot on my head. So that's what Krishna and Lord Vamandeva did. And Lord Vamandeva was so pleased with Bali Maharaj that he agreed to become his doorkeeper. And he gives him actually the position of Indra in a different Manvantara. But in the meantime, he becomes his doorkeeper in one of the 14 planetary systems below. I can't remember the name right now. Sutala, there you go. So there at Sutala we'll find Bali Maharaj. And actually there's a small pastime with Vamandeva. I'll just small anecdote because it's Vamanadeva's appearance day. But Ravana tries to conquer also the three worlds. But when he comes to Sutala, Vamandeva just gives him a little kick and kicks him far away. You have nothing to do with this place. So he is the doorkeeper, protector of Lord of Bali Maharaj. So this is the exalted position of Bali Maharaj, who by his devotional service and devotional attitude of not at all deviating from this principle of seeing that ultimately everything belongs to Krishna and it's meant for his enjoyment. So therefore, I get the benefit by offering something to him. Not that we're actually giving, Krishna actually needs our offering. It already belongs to him. So if it's already his and you offer, then who is serving who actually then? Krishna is serving us by allowing him to serve us. He agrees to become the enjoyer. It's to allow us to give some service to him so that we can get benefit. And then he becomes pleased. Because we become pleased by seeing him pleased and he becomes pleased. And the competition never ends. So this is the transcendental world. We can meditate again on this day that we can get some intelligence like Bali Maharaj, never identify with the things of this world and thinking that this world is all there is, and my money, my house, my children, my family. No, we can, like Magadari mentioned this morning, we can offer all these things to Krishna, following the mood of all the acharyas who understood this. Because they adopted this principle of all the Mahajanas. Bali Maharaj is one of the Mahajanas, 12 Mahajanas. We follow in their footsteps. And we do everything directly for Krishna, not indirectly, directly for him. We live our life, whatever position we find ourselves in, and serve him fully. So we have a few minutes. We can stop there. Actually, we don't have any minutes, but we can stop there for some questions or comments or reflections. Question, okay. The question is, who became a doorkeeper? Yeah, Lord Vamandeva agreed to become the doorkeeper of Bali Maharaj. Yes, yes.
That he will live forever. He's one of the 10 devotees of Krishna who were given a boom, like Hanuman was given that he will live forever. Wasn't Bali Maharaj one of them?
Perhaps. I don't know this detail. Do you know, Prabhu? I don't know.
Yeah, Bali Maharaj was one of them. There were other 10,
Yeah, there's a
great
few.
devotees. I'm sorry?
There's a few, I know,
Yeah.
but I don't know this detail. I can do some research and confirm.
Hanuman was one of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, is there any other question or comment?
Remember, my question is, if they were given that boom, where are they now? Where is Bali Maharaj? Where is Hanuman?
He's in Sutala, a different planet.
Oh.
One of the lower planetary system.
And Hanuman?
Hanuman, somewhere meditating. I don't know. Kim Purusha.
He's what?
In Kim Purusha. Kim Purusha Varsha.
No, I didn't know. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. We can just learn from them. He has a question or comment right here.
Thank you, Prabhu. It was very nectarian class. Very nice. Thank you so much. I was thinking, how can, that giving nature doesn't come that so easily. If at all, if I want to give something, maybe I can give it to my children. I'll not give it to my even brother or sister. Maybe it's my own, right? That's what I was thinking. Maybe that's the giving nature only to my children, not to anybody else. Or my mother, right? But what happens from my mother? Mother is going to, giving me, but I don't want to give it to my mother. That's another thing. So that relationship is there, but still I don't want to give my mother. I'll just grab it from my mother. That's what happens in general. So what I was thinking is, what a relationship with Bali Maharaj and Krishna, that he is completely devoted. Atmanivedanam, that means completely, I want to give everything. What a love for Krishna. So much love for Krishna. I don't think anybody has that kind of love. Just give myself to you. Yeah. It's like, that's not easy. So what a relationship, and how even Krishna can also give that to his devotee if he's very much surrendered. I can give himself to you. He has given himself to Radharani, just like that. So it's, I don't know how to develop that love for Krishna. I was thinking about it.
Brian, thank you for that comment. Yeah, we can hear these stories, these pastimes, and become inspired. We may not be there immediately, but we can strive to be there. We can worship those who are on that platform and become inspired every year to say, wow, how much progress did I make from the previous year that I heard this pastime? I know that that's what I should actually do. But again, see, for devotees, we don't have to give up anything. That's the nice things. We just have to use it in Krishna's service. We just have to put him completely in the center of our lives. Instead of calculating everything according to what makes me satisfied, we calculate what makes Krishna satisfied. We mold our life. We make decisions, or major life decisions, based on that. Instead of thinking, oh, what's gonna, benefit me and my body and my mind and my senses. Let's plan and mold our life. But how can I make better spiritual advancement? How can we as a community make spiritual advancement? And then that principle, Atmanivedanam, will come. Of one day, as we become more and more attached to Krishna, we'll spontaneously give everything to Krishna. When the opportunity comes, some opportunity, some festival or some service comes and it's time to support the festival in some way, let's say, how can I support? How can I give to this community? How much time, energy, or can I give to this? Or if I don't have time externally and energy, because I put most of my time and energy to acquiring money, then the fruit of your time and energy is money. You use it in Krishna service. It's like indirectly using your time and energy. It's not direct because Krishna wants you to use your senses also, but it's an indirect way of using your time and energy in Krishna service. So we can try year by year, improve. Okay? The Prabhu was saying, Krishna's mercy also sometimes is, he takes away everything. Like he took away everything from Prabhupada, seemingly. Yeah, Lord may make some arrangement if we're not intelligent enough to give up everything. Krishna may take away things that we can't clearly see. It's an impediment in our devotional service, because he will only do that to an exalted soul. So when it happens to such a soul, he'll say, "Oh, Krishna did this for my benefit." He won't be crying, cursing Krishna, hallucinating, having, frustration because I can't believe I just lost this. You just be, Krishna knew that I needed to lose this thing actually. Sometimes change our whole circumstance, change our whole life, set of friends, set of everything, completely changes. Because that's what we need for Krishna conscious. Then Krishna will help us in that way. So the principle is to pray for Krishna to do whatever it takes to help us come to him. For Bali Maharaja, it was this. For us, it may be something else. So, but Krishna knows best. So we should trust he knows best. So we'll stop there unless there's some burning question. Okay. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vamandeva Mahotava ki jai, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha, Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Tatenukampam susamikṣamana bhunjana evatmakritam vipakam hridvagvapudevidadam namaste jivetayo mukti sudhoya bha.